Relolded and Test Alliance, please ignore.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Here we've got Test Alliance Please Ignore going up against Vydra Reloaded. Test Alliance here bringing the very classic drone all-in, with bringing the full complement of 6 Vexor hulls along with a top end of 3 Myrmidon hulls with that double EOS single Myrmidon. And they're going to be looking to just race down this Vydra Reloaded team. And what have Vydra Reloaded brought, Rain?
So Vydra bought the classic Minotaur Rush. You got double Sleipnir, a Simi for reps, double Ferox, double Jackdaw for support, double Kitsune as ECM, and then a Malus for damps.
Yeah, it's going to be really weird. I don't think those Kitsunes are going to match up well against that test team. You know, jamming out Vexors and Eoses are not the most effective of strategies in stopping damage.
And the reason for that is because drone boats can actually assign their drones to another ship. So if like say an EOS gets jammed or something along those lines, he can assign all of his drones to another ship, and then that pilot, who may not be jammed or damped, can actually use those drones to their full effect. On the other hand, these double Kitsunes and Malus might be able to, I think their best target would be maybe that Hyena, and prevent the Hyena from targeting, I would say, pretty much anything on the field from the Vydra team, which would allow those Sleipnirs to then rush into the Test Alliance team.
I also wouldn't be surprised to see one of those Kitsunes go and actually start jamming off drones, because that is a mechanic you can still take advantage of. Still, I expect to see this be a bit more of an attrition match, purely because Vydra Reloaded have brought such a good low end here with those double jackdaws. They should be able to kill a lot of Test Alliance Please Ignore's drones, and given how vulnerable Vexor navies are, oh man, Vydra Reloaded there starting off the match with a bang, going right for the Hyena of Psycho and killing it immediately.
Yeah, and I was gonna say he had transversal. It wasn't like he was burning directly at the Vydra team, but it was not enough. He was target ping and just immediately blapped off the field. And for those back home, I don't know if you guys can see the drones, but they are all immediately headed towards this poor little scimitar piloted by Nico Noiser, as he is attempting to burn away. Oh my gosh, that is a massive swarm of drones on him.
Yeah, you can see how absolutely minuscule that control bar is from Test Alliance Please Ignore. That just tells you that those mid slots on all of those ships are just filled with drone nav comps, purely so that they can catch that scimitar as fast as there it goes. Web drones even being a scimitar. I think those are even painting drones. God.
Yeah, this poor little scimitar is trying to burn his heart out. He not only has hostile drones, but then he has friendly drones. Obviously applying reps, which showed that symbol, and then he has obviously his local rep.
Yeah, and just look at it though, going down so fast. I don't think he's even going to be able to use all of his ASB charges before he goes down there. Nika eating it, but that's a good trade for now for Vydra. They're killing off an Ishtar and a Hyena. The question is, can the rest of their core sustain whilst they try and dig through the rest of this Test Alliance DPS?
Yeah, and as mentioned previously over the last couple of days, these pilots on the Vydra team we should hopefully see them spread out, because then what happens is, even though they may die, it creates more time for the rest of their team to actually escape and to live. So right now we see Pandy and the Sleipnir being primaried, not only with the web drones, but with the damage drones. So as long as he gains distance from his team may not be able to receive those links, but at least when he dies, or if he dies, those drones, it takes longer for those drones to actually apply to the next target.
Yeah, and equally Test Alliance Please Ignore is just spreading out themselves. A couple of them sitting there on the MJD beacon, maybe trying to present the threat of MJDing onto a ship and killing it, or just MJDing away from the damage of Vydra. There we go, another Vexor Navy issue down there from Test, Malcolm Gunn going down, and they're primaring the next one. This is a great choice from Vydra. These Vexor Navy issues are very squishy, and they do a hell of a lot of the damage of the comp.
And so at the moment we see Pandy activating an MJD. No, just kidding, just a prank. I did not see it. I think that might have been the effect from those webbing drones, but he's right near an MJD beacon, so we're going to keep an eye on him to see if maybe he'll MJD to victory. Oh, but looks like he's actually activated it. He's trying to pull a Pantheon from yesterday. He actually activated it, and he's alive. He made it. So obviously those drones still have to catch back up to him to apply their damage. He's barely living to win in a low structure.
Yeah, but that you know, the amount of distance they're going to have to travel, that's going to cost Test Alliance even more time, and that's time they might not have there, as the EOS of Red Belly Squirrel is taking tons of damage, going into half armor here.
Yeah, and I assume while we were talking about the Slipner, both the Kitsune and the Mollusk died. Obviously, without those Logi reps and being tiny little ships, they just get eaten alive by drones.
Unfortunately, actually, that Maulus went down to boundary violations, clearly realizing how useless he is in the match and just committing seppuku.
Yeah, some of these, I would say Vydra's a pretty top-end team, and even top-end pilots make simple mistakes such as running out of the boundary from time to time.
Yeah, the EOS here now entering structure very quickly. The damage from Test Alliance facing your team, it's really dropping off here. They're going for a Kitsune and killing it almost immediately, but I don't know if that's a good call here. There's so many threats still left on this Vydra team, and they're getting whittled down here. The Myrmidon of Jason taking a ton of damage as well, and whilst he does may be able to rep some of that up, I don't think they're going to be able to kill this Sleipnir before he dies.
Yeah, and I know we've been talking a lot about these battle cruisers and drone boats, but the Ferox and the Jackdaws have actually been spreading out and kind of using, I would say, like their EWAR mids. I see the Jackdaw using a target painter with his utility mid, and then I would say they're probably also like not only shooting the Test Alliance pilots, but as well as probably potentially shooting drones. These Jackdaws could pretty easily take out a swarm of drones from Test.
Yeah, and obviously that limited drone bay is so key to the matchups of this drone all-in. If they lose all their drones, there's nothing else they can do in the match. They don't have control, and they don't even have guns in some cases.
Yeah,
Mystic Rebel, though, in the Sleipnir, going into hull there, looks like he's run out of ASB charges.
Yeah, it's a pretty close match. A lot of Vydra's damage is obviously with those Sleipnirs, not discounting the Ferox and the Jackdaws, but they do not want him to die, even though they are ahead on points. And he did go down. They're still leading, though.
Look at how slowly that Vexor of Neil Swats is dying. It's just, he's being, like, scraped away at, whereas this, the Test Alliance Pleasing team was able to really closely burn down that Sleipnir, and whilst losing one more ship is going to hurt. Oh no, I think Vydra does have this in the bag. 2 BCs is just too much to overcome here.
Yeah, these Ferox pilots and these Jackdaw pilots aren't, well, not very critical compared to those Sleipnirs, are still super important for the Vydra team.
Yeah, I think they're just going for whichever is closest right now, just burning down that EOS. The lack of tackle might hurt them, but Ferox's and Jackdaws should be able to keep up with him and just grind him down. Although Ice Tim is taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, and he actually has, so the Vydra team still has some drones left. Looks to be all friendly drones. So he does have friendly rep bots on him, but obviously it's not doing enough compared to the EOS and the Vex or DPS drones.
Yeah, a real, attrition battle here. Both teams just trading back and forth, but Vydra Reloaded's threats were just far more resilient than Test Alliance's. Those Sleipnirs have ASBs. They can tank for so much with those, given that they have a rep bonus.
Yeah, and critically, they immediately eliminated the Hyena at the beginning of the match. So I believe that was probably the best call in any call a competent team would make, seeing as how the Hyena with its long-range webs would keep the Sleipnirs that want to get in and on top of these Test pilots at bay. So pretty good target calling by Vydra. Not saying that Test didn't target call well, because obviously they eliminated that Scimitar first. They just weren't able to execute as quickly.
Yeah, and now it's just a question of how long can Digital Charon survive? Can he make Vydra Reloaded last a whole another 3 minutes in the arena? I doubt it, but you never know.
Nope, it looks to be just Vydra eliminating the last man standing. I was in Sajin, did you expect that to go any other way with Vydra versus Test?
I think Vydra were the favourites, but you can always hope for the underdog, and Test Alliance Ignore aren't a bad team. They've shown pretty good runs so far.
Yep, and with that, we'll send it back to Apophany in the studio.
Would you say that has been a top tier target calling?
I would definitely say it's a unique tier target calling.
Should be fine.
Nope.
I love you online!
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Alliance tournament there. A pretty cool match between Vydra and Test. Kind of two strong archetypes going up against each other. We saw the no logi drone all-in, which we've seen a few times, go up against something that tourney guys tend to call Fly Killer. Now, Relolded, would you mind explaining very briefly what Fly Killer is, how it works, and why it won that match?
Okay, so basically, overall, Fly Killer is objectively probably, it's a really fun strategy. Basically, all you have to do, it's renowned to just headshotting ships. Back in 1812, when Hydra brought like a triple Sleipnir, when that
Boom headshot.
Yes, that's where it came from. Basically, you need to headshot small stuff, and that's what they did. They headshot that Hyena straight away, and basically it's renowned just for headshotting ships. Really burst damage, got that really high alpha. Versus drones, that's actually a tough matchup for Fly Killer, but he did the right thing. He burnt away, the skimmy just burnt away, and the Ishtars and the drones all tried to chase the skimmy. He was going fast as he can, tried to burn all the way the drones, and eventually he's going to die. That's just how drones versus Fly Killer
Using
work.
webbing and TPing drones
Yes.
instead of damage drones. Interesting choice, didn't quite work out there. Maybe it was better than damage drones, maybe it wasn't. We'll have to wait for other matches to see.
Yeah.
However, we are joined by the wonderful Daniel here from the Alt Lounge, who's hosting our viewing party today. How's it going over there? We obviously can't pop over there at the moment. We're a little preoccupied, but how's it going over there today?
It's going well. Got quite a few of your
Quite a few.
viewers there,
Nice.
so hopefully they're having fun. So thank you for having us, and thank you for having me here.
You're very welcome. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the Alt Lounge? What have you got going on there? What is the place? And what can people do if they turn up?
So Alt Gaming Lounge is situated in Nottingham, just up the road from us, and we are at George Street, just around the corner from the Lace Market tram stop, if people know Nottingham. If you don't, you're welcome to look at our Facebook page. We're also on Instagram and Twitter, so you can have a look there, find us there. We are a all-you-can-have gaming heaven. We've got a retro lounge where you've got old gen consoles such as the Xbox 360, Mega Drive, Mini NES, things like that.
It's weird to hear the Xbox 360 called an old gen console.
It's moving very, very quickly though nowadays.
Oh dear.
We have a purpose-built virtual reality area where you can try the HTC Vive, we can try the PS4 VR. We've also got a full gaming arena with top-of-the-line gaming rigs there. We've got 32 stations, so you're welcome to come down and have a try.
Fantastic. And then the viewing party going on today. What's the level like refreshments, food and drinks that people can get if they come down?
So we've got a fully licensed bar, so you can have lots of beer with us. We do freak shakes, cocktails, things like that. We've also got a full menu as well, so if you're feeling peckish, you can come and join us for something to eat as well.
Fantastic. And then for those people who come down, think it's an amazing place, which of course everyone who comes down will, do you have kind of big events going throughout the year? Do you run tournaments or like viewing parties or anything like that?
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is create a community of gamers from everything from grassroots, social gaming. We hold tournaments such as, we've got Gears of War tournament coming up, which is a £4 prize pool, professional gaming tournament. That should be fun. We've also got a BioShock Rapture party. So if people are into BioShock, they can come down, cosplay, have a meal with us. And we've also got a DJ. So lots of stuff going on, but check out our social, you'll see a lot on there.
Fantastic. And then I heard you got something a little bit special for the Alliance tournament viewers going on at the moment?
Yeah, so obviously I could talk about it forever, but I just want you to come and experience it.
Yeah.
So if any of your viewers come down and go to the bar and just quote Eve NT, we'll happily give you 2 hours on the arena, absolutely free of charge, and you can experience it for yourselves.
Yeah, so is that the entire place then you have to pay per hour, or is it just in the gaming rig section?
In the gaming rig section, the retro lounge is fully free of charge. The VR is a pay-to-play experience as well. I'm sure we could fit you in if there's no bookings on there, but yeah, that's the setup. We can give you a tour if anybody comes down.
Fantastic. I absolutely advise anyone who's been watching his stream and can make it down to Nottingham at some point, totally come down and check out the Old Gaming Lounge. Super fun. We went there on the Sunday morning of last weekend, played some Melee, played some Overwatch, I played some StarCraft, and some Spyro as well in that round. That was cool. But yeah, come check it out. It's a fantastic place to come hang out. Come hang out with us, watch the AT for the rest of the day, and if you're close enough, make it a regular part, join that gaming community that we're building over there. We have not much time before the next match, so we must talk about it as much as I would love to just go hang out and play old games. We have match number 3 of the day. It's Northern Coalition, who have a flagship Balgorn available, and for going up against Snuffed Out, who lost their Bal just after the first minute of their match. So Northern Coalition have their Bal ready. Snuffed Out do not have a flagship ready. Northern Coalition beat Razor Alliance and Shadow Cartel. Shadow Cartel being perhaps a little bit of a grudge match. Then Snuffed Out beating Whole Control, where their flag was lost. And then Project Mayhem, which was a really cool match as Snuffed Out and Project Mayhem worked together a lot on TQ, a lot of friendship between those two alliances, and one unfortunately had to beat down the other. Now, Snuffed Out, typically not done amazingly well in the tournaments. I'd like to think that they've got a tiny bit better each year on, but we're yet to see them blossom into a real force in the Alliance Tournament arena. Northern Coalition kind of came out of nowhere last year, going from a team that went out in the first round or two to making top 4 last year, I think it was. I mean, a lot of people have said that's because DHB Wildcat brought all the old Hydra comps in his list of AT ships and kind of showed them what to do, and they kind of used their money to get in. But at the same time, we definitely saw some solid piloting from them. So I think this year might be another year to test to see whether last year was a fluke run off of just old Hydra comps and all those AT ships, or whether they've managed to keep up with the times and they're going to be a team that we see consistently moving forward in future tournaments. Nikal, why don't you tell me your thoughts on this matchup? What are your predictions? Is it going to be very one-sided on the side of NC, or do you think Snuffed Out and give them a real match?
Again, it's one of those juggernauts versus underdog situations. I'm rooting for Snuffed Out at this point. Do have some personal biases. They are allies of ours, but at the same time, I really think this is going to be an uphill battle for them. They are going to struggle. I think that the compositions here need to be on point, and they need to bring their best pilots for this, and I'm sure they've been practicing for it. But come on, Snuff, bring your A game. Let's take down NC.
The winner of the voting for Vydra versus Test was Floris Salkus, possibly. Congratulations on winning Billionisk. Remember, everyone, vote at vote.eve-nt.uk to vote and possibly win 1 Billionisk every single match. The people who vote correctly, we will pick one of those names and send you a Billionisk. Now, Reload, I'm going to tell you the bans, and I want you to tell me your thoughts on the upcoming match. So the bans we have for this match coming up are Northern Coalition banning the Ishtar and the Gila, so drone bans here, and then Snuffed Out banning the Guardian and the Aneros, banning out T2 armor logic. So what are your thoughts? Northern Coalition banning out 2 drone ships. Interestingly, Gila Ishtar tend to not fall in the same comps as much, and then Snuffed Out just going for the solid bans. We see them so much Guardian and Aneros.
Okay, so NC Dot, I have a feeling, are scared of Minotaur Rush, because you got the Gila Sleipnir wombo combo, and the Ishtar because it's a core drone all-in ship, so they are getting 2 birds with 1 stone, so that's a pretty okay ban. I mean, Ishtar Gila, pretty standardish. Guardian and Aneros is obviously a very standard ban. You've got to ban those double T2 Logi cruisers, so that's a pretty standard ban. Can't really read much into that. They maybe want to go like a shield team or maybe an all-in team, so.
Yeah, now, Nika, what are your thoughts on this match as we've heard the bans there, Ishtar Gila versus Aneros Guardian? Do you think either team is trying to force a comp out of their opponents? Or do you think that we're bringing a comp that kind of is not great against those things, so we're going to try to weaken those type of teams, even if we can't outright just say you're not allowed to bring this archetype?
It's a tough one. I mean, again, the Aneros Guardian ban, again, it's a surprise to see that come up again. But again, I think that the point of these sort of bans is they're very strategic. They're trying to force a different playstyle. Now, whether that's going to double frigate Logi and instead going for 2 easier Logis to break rather than just 1, or trying to force them onto the shield composition, we'll wait and see. But yeah, very strategic bans here, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's really nice to see after we've had, the first weekend go through, we've seen a couple games from each team. If we've seen a team just bring the same comp again and again and again, or the same style coming through, it's really nice seeing targeted bans such that they cannot bring that archetype. So we get to see the depth of theory crafting of these teams, either where it's some weird variant of the original comp they're bringing, so we see how they think about that comp and how they alter it to maintain the strengths they believe it has, or forcing them to see something new. One of the things we see in the Alliance Tournament we don't talk about nearly enough is teams who have one comp comp that they fight really, really well, and that can get you really quite far. You know, we saw Vlora Chords last year with their Macarial Moa Magic going forwards, with a Flag Mac even, but they didn't really have much depth. So as these bans come through, see what these teams have been playing before, see what they bring under those bans and under those more stressful conditions, and let's find out what these two teams bring in Snuffed Out going up against Northern Coalition.
Welcome back. I'm Rain, and I'm joined